Hello, all you nice people. Thank you for showing up today. Well, here we are ramping up into the holiday season. Lots of things are happening. Shopping is happening. Parties are happening. Family gatherings are happening. Completions of business events are happening. A lot of stuff going on. And it's very tempting to get caught up in the doingness of things, isn't it? Obligations, guilt, stress, family responsibilities. And I want to key you in today to a phrase that I heard many years ago that stuck with me. Someone said, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. But before you can keep the main thing, you have to be very clear on what the main thing is. And in my world, at least my vision of my world, keeping spirit first is the main thing. We have stuff and we have spirit, and we very often juxtapose them, don't we? Stuff first and then spirit second. Stuff meaning stuff you got to do, material objects, social responsibilities. But what if we took this season and said, okay, here's my chance to practice keeping spirit first no matter what? Let me give you a couple of examples. I knew a couple of years ago named Barbara and Robert Varley, and they were Course in Miracles teachers. They wrote a book called The Peace of God is My One Goal. And this is a phrase I refer to very often from A Course in Miracles. The story goes that the Varleys used to travel around America in this van, and they would present Course in Miracles workshops at various churches and healing centers, and they operated on a donation basis. And one time around Christmas, their van broke down, and they had to buy a new van. So they went to a local dealership, and they identified a vehicle they liked, and the salesman quoted them a price. You know, you never take the first price of buying a used car. But their spirit said to them, don't bargain with the man. Just take the price he offers. And they were into listening to guidance. They were Course in Miracles students, and they identified this voice as the voice of the Holy Spirit. So they said, okay, we'll take it. And at that point, the man broke down into tears. He said, it's been a very slow holiday season for sales. And I have some kids, and I haven't been able to buy them presents. And my commission from this van at this price will enable me to buy my kids some presents. So it was a happy ending, but it's not the ending. Because what happened was, as the Varleys continued their journey to teach their courses, the donations swelled, and they began to receive a lot more money than they usually did. And the van was quickly paid off. And then the donations slipped back to the original level. So what that tells me is that when they kept spirit first, and they decided to listen to guidance rather than attempt to bargain with this man, that same spirit that guided them got them the money to pay. It was a very simple interaction, wasn't it? So, the ego always says, get. The spirit says, be, serve, connect. And we want to keep first things first. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. I recently saw a very interesting holiday movie. It's called Noel, Noel. And it's a story of 5 or 6 New Yorkers who are struggling with one thing or another. And they're attempting to find peace during the holiday season. Stars Alan Arkin and Susan Sarandon. Pretty good cast. And it's a very interesting story. Alan Arkin plays an older man whose wife has passed away not long ago. And he feels very guilty. Maybe he had an affair. I forget what it was, but his wife passed away before they came to terms with what he did. And he lived in deep remorse because he couldn't heal with her before she left. Then he meets this young policeman, and by some mental quirk, he believes that this policeman is channeling his wife, that the spirit of his wife has returned to him through this policeman. And he actually tells this policeman, and the policeman thinks he's nuts, and the policeman thinks he might be gay, and he's coming on to him. They go through all kinds of scenarios. And this policeman resists this older man and just calls him nuts and keeps a distance from him. Then this old man, played by Alan Arkin, is dying himself. And the policeman decides that he is going to offer him forgiveness in the name of his wife. So he kind of tells a white lie, and he says, I'm your wife, I'm channeling your former wife. And she says to forgive you. She forgives you. And of course, a huge burden is relieved from Alan Arkin, and he dies in peace. Now, you could say that the policeman was playing with his head, the policeman was dishonest. However, in that moment, the policeman made a choice as to what would serve this man's spirit the best. He was aching for forgiveness, and he believed that he could get it through this policeman. And so he chose to give it to him, which was a step out of his reality. But stepping out of the reality of ego is a step into the reality of spirit. So it's very easy to say, this is my world, and this is what I do, and this is how I live, and this is how things are. But if that world had brought us peace, we'd all be a lot happier. So there comes a moment when we have to say, which world do I wish to live in? The world of the ego or the world of God? And I think if you're watching this broadcast, you've all come to the point in your life when something inside you is yearning to break free of the ego's bonds. It's a tyrannical, nasty, vicious system of belief. And only when we rise above it do we get to see what's really out there. Now, a number of years ago, I had a argument with this man. I was teaching in graduate school, and there was a group retreat, a retreat for students for the weekend. And this man did not like the way I was teaching, and he got drunk, and we had an argument. And he actually tried to punch me. Pretty nasty kind of thing. And the weekend was over, and we went our separate ways. But that interaction haunted me for years. And I thought I have to somehow come to peace with him and this incident. But I didn't. I didn't do anything about it. And then I went to a Christmas gathering where someone read from the New Testament. And they read this statement by Jesus who said, before you bring your gift to the altar, make peace with your brother. In other words, why do something holy, say, God, I love you, God, I make my sacrifice, God, I pray, and go on with a litany of spirituality, when meanwhile there's something festering in your personal life. You're missing peace with one of your brothers or sisters. So Jesus said, hey, forget about bringing a gift to the altar. Take care of business first with somebody on earth, and then you're going to really be pleasing to God. God doesn't care if you put a lamb on the altar. God wants you to be at peace with your brother or your sister. And so I took that as my cue, and I decided I would do something to resolve my relationship with this professor who had an interaction with me. So I wrote him a letter. Knew where he was. And I said, we had this interaction a couple of years ago, and it's very painful for me. I imagine for you too. And I'm really sorry if I said or did anything that disturbed you. And I would really like to put this whole thing behind us. And I'd like to recreate our relationship. And if it's possible to be friends, that would be nice. And if not, at least know that I'd like to let this go and think of you with love in my heart. Short letter. That was about it. And then I remember I went to mail that letter and I was about to drop the letter in the post box, and this chill of fear overcame me. The pain of that incident just kind of dredged up and got in my face. I thought, oh my God, what if he thinks I'm a jerk? What if he laughs at me? What if he tells people about it? What if he comes back and punches me again? I had this whole wave of fear just overtook me. And I thought, well, I got to do what I got to do. So I dropped the letter in the post box. And the moment I did, I was free. Like, okay, I did at least my part to make peace with my brother. And the truth is, I never heard from him. That was many years ago. But the truth also is it didn't matter, because I was in integrity with myself and I was in integrity with him. I did what I had to do. His response was his business. It was between him and God. And I felt very free after that. And I could come to the altar now and give my gift to God because I made peace with my brother. And I think we all have somebody in our life who we could make more peace with. And we're usually waiting for them to make the first move. And if you would just be nicer to me, I'd be nicer to you. If you'd used to apologize to me, I'd apologize to you. But it doesn't work. I coached a woman the other day, and she complained that her husband didn't understand her. He didn't make an effort to see the world from her viewpoint. And I asked her point blank, I said, well, do you make an effort to understand him? Oh, no. Have you tried to put yourself in his shoes? No. So I asked her, why would you expect him to understand you if you're not willing to understand him? And she got it. And she was actually a coach trainee in one of my programs. I said, why don't you practice, the coaching skills on him? Why don't you, when he speaks to you, how about if you reflect what he says so he knows you heard him? And how about validating him? How about thanking him for all the good things he does to you? How about honoring him as your husband and the father of your children? She said, oh, yeah. I never thought of that. I said, well, maybe it's time to think of that. And she got a lot. She ended the session in tears. She said, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So we're always waiting for the other guy to fix it first. But, the first one out on the dance floor is the courageous one. And we all need to be that person. So maybe take a moment now to think about somebody you've been waiting to heal with. And once again, the purpose of you doing your part in healing is not to elicit a particular reaction from them. That's the illusion. Is it, well, if I'm nice to them, then they'll be nice to me, and everything will be nice. Well, what if you're nice to them and they're still not nice to you? Doesn't matter, because you've done your part. Your job is not to change their behavior. If they forgive you as well and let go and are kind to you as well, that's cool. That's a wonderful outcome. But even if they don't, your role is the same. You have to lighten up and get over it. There's a wonderful question in the Course in Miracles, kind of tongue in cheek. It asks, would you rather be right or happy? Ooh, would you rather be right or happy? And we're so busy being right that we're not being happy. And the ego has to be right, but the spirit has to be happy. So back to the policeman, he could say, well, I'm not that guy's wife. I'm right. And the Valis could have said, oh, we should bargain because the price is too high. We're right. But, all the conflicts of the world, from personal ones to community ones to global ones, are all about, we're right. My party is right. My faction is right. My country is right. You're wrong. And, healing does not proceed from people being right. Healing proceeds from people connecting The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Years ago, I was in Denver and I saw there's a building with artistic graffiti on it. And it said, touch every moment of love. Touch every moment of love. And the Course in Miracles will tell us that the love we seek is available at every moment. And if we're not feeling it, it's because we're choosing not to touch it. Someone said, if you feel distant from God, who moved? God didn't move. God is here. Love is here. Kindness is here. Grace is here. Peace is here. And the beautiful thing is that it's available at any moment. You're never more than one step, one thought. You're never more than one thought away from peace. Isn't that interesting? I took a media training years ago, and it was training authors how to do interviews. And the teacher said, you're never more than one thought away from delivering your message, one sentence away from delivering your message. And what he meant by that was an interviewer can ask you any question, but if you're smart, you can make a one-sentence bridge and then give the answer you'd prefer to give, or sell your product, or do anything that furthers your intention for the interview. And if you have a good interviewer, it's not a problem. But if some interviewers are not so great, you want to keep the interview on track by staying on track with your main thing, which is what you really want to say in your interview. And so just as you're never more than one sentence away from delivering your message, we're never more than one thought away from peace. Peace on earth. Well, peace on earth begins with peace right here. Don't wait for other people to get peaceful. That's the big illusion that's kept the world in pain for millennia. This is where it starts, right here. Let me be peace. If I can be at peace, I'm making the hugest contribution to the planet by keeping the main thing the main thing. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. Wow. What a great holiday season this will be as we do that, huh? Can you imagine emerging into New Year feeling like I made the most of the holiday season? I did not sell out by doing things I didn't believe in. I used it to go in instead of out. I used it to create harmony instead of further upset. Wow. Can you imagine on January 2 saying, I did it. I really did it this year. I made this holiday season my own according to my integrity and my values and my heart and my vision. Oh, it'll be the best holiday season ever. A couple of reminders before we close. One is that you can have direct coaching with me. We have what we call a live coaching room, which is every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific. I do 1 hour of brief coaching with a bunch of people if you join us for that. And this meets every Wednesday at noon. Some people watch our YouTubes of this program, but they don't know we meet live. If you want to meet live, it's every Wednesday at noon. And then we also have my life coach training coming up starting in January. It's a 6-month, very intimate, deeply intensive, deeply transformational journey into learning the skills that make life work as we apply them to helping other people. So you can use this training to become a professional, full-time certified coach. You can use these skills part-time. You can employ them in your current profession. You can use them in your family and with your circle of friends. It's an amazing, truly life-changing, transformational program. We have a couple spaces open. It starts January 1st, 2021. And I would love to have you join me there if you feel like playing. So, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. I feel love you lots. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you a joy-filled, heart-filled, high-integrity, spiritually based holiday season, merging into the new year with the deepest of soul reward. That's the main thing.